Assalamualaikum. A very good day to our panels, Dr. Aida Abdullah and Madam Fariha Hassan. First, let me and my partner introduce ourselves. My name is PUTERI ADLINA binti Abu Hassan.
Assalamualaikum, my name is SYASYA Aqilah binti Nur Muhammad. Today, we will present on our research project entitled Social Protection Schemes among UiTM SEREMBAN 3 students, a knowledge, attitude and practice approach, supervised by Dr. FAIZ YAAKOB and Madam AZLINA. We will begin our presentation with problem statement. In Malaysia, social protection schemes are now a necessity. In the education sector, the need for social protection scheme is also significant, taking into account today's socio-economic situation with the rising cost of living due to the unstable economic and political growth. Educational opportunities, especially among university students who have to pay high tuition fees in addition to the associated costs, are indeed making their life difficult. However, awareness and knowledge about the social protection scheme is important for those who are eligible for the program and to enjoy the benefit. There is little research conduct on knowledge and awareness among APTA students on social protection scheme in Malaysia. Therefore, to fill information gaps and gain a better understanding of the existing problems, the study employs the knowledge, aptitude and practice methodology to better understand people's knowledge about social protection programs, as well as their processes for gaining the programs and receiving benefits.
Next, there are 3 research questions and 3 research objectives in this study. First, the research objective is to ascertain the knowledge among zakat recipients about the scheme at UiTM SEREMBAN 3. And the question asking is, what do the UiTM students, in particular the beneficiaries, know about the existing zakat scheme, including the eligibility criteria and procedures for accessing the program? Next, the research objective is to study the views of zakat recipients on the source of information about the zakat scheme offered. And the research question is, what do the UiTM students, in particular the beneficiaries, know about the various sources of information on existing zakat scheme and to what extent is it serving their purpose? The third research objective is to identify the response to the distribution of benefits received by zakat recipients, and the research question is, where do the intended beneficiaries go to seek help in case of not receiving zakat benefits, and what are the coping strategies?
I will explain a literature review. First is delivery of social protection programs. A successful and effective social protection system is when this coverage and accessibility are being fulfilled. Distribution can be done through the banking system, such as through ATMs or other mobile banking technologies, to the recipients of the program. Delivery modality in low-income and developing countries. For new information technologies and procedures have grown more essential in the delivery of monetary and in-kind transfers. For instance, in Pakistan, in less than 3 months after the 2010 floods, 1.3 million Muatan cards were distributed for cash distribution. Besides, in Kenya, smart cards have aided in the expansion of Kenya's SHNP cash transfer scheme. Banks has laid out a few factors that influence the participation of social protections among the recipients. Geographic accessibility, financial accessibility, perceived of value of programs, and service provider compliance are all the underlying factors. Social protection in developing and non-developing countries based on knowledge and perceptions. In Pakistan, according to the researchers, studies result on knowledge about eligibility criteria is more than half of the respondents were ignorant of the qualifying standards for the SPPs they were familiar with. In Indonesia, studies conducted by Kardati about the perceptions of beneficiary families of social protection through Pukesos program, they were aware of Pukesos present, making it simpler for them to locate a place they may get for Pukesos services. Meanwhile, in Ghana, Ghanaians have a limited understanding of social protection. Many Ghanaians have lacked information about existing programs, including the eligibility criteria, financing arrangement, feedback mechanisms, and administrative structures.
Moreover, zakat is part of social protection program schemes. According to Quraish, Hamzah, and Razak in 2017, zakat is used to alleviate poverty. Apart from alleviating poverty and improving the society's living conditions, zakat allocation funds can help to raise a well-informed generation, mainly among asnaf, fakir, and miskin. Through the distribution of the zakat, the asnaf are not only given financial assistance, but also assistance in the form of schooling needs. The assistance given is able to encourage the children of the asnaf to seek and gain knowledge. Furthermore, the COVID-19 pandemic affects on the B40 group. The decision of Movement Control Orders MCO 1.0 and MCO 2.0 has resulted in business closing permanently, people losing their jobs, and thus including being unable to afford the cost of living. Many students from B40 families are affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Due to this situation, Malaysians now have to rely on any support from the government, religious institution, and non-governmental organization in order to survive.
Vulnerable group can be defined as a population inside a country that has distinctive features that put it at a higher risk of needing humanitarian help than others or being excluded from financial and social services.
Next, according to UNICEF in 2012, social protection is a system of formal and informal interventions aiming at decreasing economic and social threats, vulnerability, and hardships for all individuals, as well as supporting inclusive social growth and equitable economic growth. Social protection can be classified into 4 categories. In this study, we only focus on the social assistance, which is the non-contributory scheme. It is a direct cash and in-kind transfers such as zakat. A growing number of studies have examined the role of zakat in delivering social protection, characterized as cash and in-kind payments intended to prevent vulnerable people from harm, as well as its utility as a poverty reduction tool. In countries where the state offers insufficient social protection owing to persistent hostilities, zakat can serve an important purpose in providing assistance to those in need.
Poverty is normally related closely to the poor condition of individuals or households. It also shows a significant deficit in well-being. According to a field resources perspective, define poverty as a person's or a family's inability to control enough resources to meet their fundamental necessities. The remedy to the bad poverty situation is the social protection programs.
Next, we move on to the methodology. First, the research method used was a qualitative approach, and semi-structured interviews were used as the research design. This research has been using a purposive sampling approach, which allows the researchers to get a qualitative response, which leads to better insights and more precise research results. 5 participants have been interviewed for this study. For data collection, the participant chose to have the interview carried out through WhatsApp Messenger via voice note and video calls. An open-ended question was used. Next, for data analysis, thematic analysis has been done by researchers in which the data was transcribed, coded, analyzed, interpreted, and verified. Researchers transcribed the interview data gained from participants, which allowed them to grab more understanding of the research by repeatedly reading the interview transcription. There are limitations on getting rich access of information because of pandemic COVID-19. For research ethics, the researchers made sure that all of the participants gave their agreement before starting the interview.
We continue with the findings and discussion. As shown in the findings, answers given by participant 1, the eligibility criteria mentioned must be Muslim, do not enroll in any scholarship, family salary must be below 3,000 ringgit Malaysia, and also have many dependent of siblings or children. Thus, this is parallel with the criteria outlined by the UiTM Zakat unit. Students also mentioned that they are aware of the social protection program like Zakat in UiTM as the first step for them to register for the program. One participant mentioned that the registration must be applied on the UiTM website or student portal and looking for the Zakat application section. Students must start filling out the personal information on the website before going through the next phase, which is the interview session. Students actually have to wait for about 1 week for the interview session, in which during online distance learning, the process of interview will be on WhatsApp Messenger application only to to save time and cost.
Next, for research question number 2 of what do the UiTM students, in particular the beneficiaries, know about the various sources of information on the existing zakat scheme and to what extent is it serving their purpose? The findings that we get is access to information is one of the most important aspects of a right-based social protection system. Thus, the right people who are in charge of the dissemination of the information need to be aware of the implementation of social protection programs and be reliable to gain trust from the beneficiaries. As mentioned by one participant of this study, he found that Jawatan Kuasa Perwakilan College (JPK) is the most reliable source of information of the social protection program in the university, as he believed that the information distributed by his peers is more trusted than others. Participants also stated the selection of recipients is also done fairly, where the unit zakat of UiTM undergoes a very thorough process to identify those who are really in need of zakat assistance. However, participants expressed that for the zakat aid, instead of focusing on giving cash aid to the students in need, the relevant parties should serve or give other kinds of assistance which related to their studies needs, as there are students who have been impacted badly because of pandemic COVID-19. Thus, students' learning needs like laptop or tablet are things that are important to help them to cope with income difficulties during online distance learning.
For the last research question, in terms of receiving the benefits, it should be done through online banking system. However, whenever the benefits are not being delivered to them, they will ask their friends for help who are also eligible for the programs. Others also mentioned that calling the HEA office or the unit zakat is the best solution to cope with the issue. Some participants also mentioned that they ignored the problems they face and wait until the problems being solved in order to access the program's benefits.
There are several recommendations to be recommended. First, zakat registration process to be improved. UiTM must ensure that the registration system is improved in order to make the registration process easier and more efficient. A lengthy and confusing registration process must be avoided, and yet simplifying it so that it will lessen the stress of the students. The people who are in charge of zakat assistance can use other methods to allow students to register when the student portal websites crash or slow. This is because students who reside in rural locations are having difficulty because of unreliable internet connection. Thus, the registration process will be disrupted and they will later forget to register. Next recommendation is allow mobile registration. To do this, UiTM's technical system may need to establish a special registration form for mobile users. This could then imply a little change in appearance in order to maintain space and readability. The most straightforward the registration process is for the beneficiaries, the more likely they are to complete it. The third recommendation is that UiTM make a comprehensive talk on zakat. For instance, an online talk can be made. It would be a good opportunity to invite an expert, for instance, an administrative committee from the zakat unit, so that he or she will be able to give clear exposure about zakat directly to the students. The talk should also include a clear conveyance of the zakat eligibility criteria, how and where to get the eligible people registered, and its benefits.
The knowledge on social protection programs is important for those who are actually eligible for the program. It found that students were only aware of the assistance of zakat in UiTM campuses they studied. The cash money they gain from the zakat program assistance able to help them in their studies, especially during pandemic COVID-19, which has impacted badly on many low-income families. Social protection program like zakat is also known to be very effective among students in UiTM, as participants mentioned that the assistance gained from zakat is able to help them with financial problems.